Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm here with my good friend Sammy Blindell of Brand Builders Club, who is amazing, by the way. If you need your brand to pop or to even figure out what in the world you're doing with a brand and why you should be doing it, this is the woman to talk with. Her community is amazing, and she is brilliant. So the reason I asked her to be with me today is I want to talk a little bit about sacred sales and what does that mean. And Sammy always asks good questions, and I thought if she was asking me good questions, it might help you. And then we're also going to do something that can help you get ready for the next sale, a little physical preparation that takes about 2 minutes that will put you in a state that will help you accelerate the next sale and access every part of you so you can be more effective.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a blast. So Sammy, what questions do you have about sacred sales?
Well, first of all, I want to know what even is sacred. So obviously, I know what sales are. You know what sales are, but what's the difference between a sale and a sacred sale?
Well, let's start with the word sacred. That trips some people up at first. Sammy, what sacred means is that it's a recognition that we're all connected. It really comes from that sort of indigenous model where we're all related.
Okay.
So if we take that, it's about respect.
Mm-hmm.
So sales in the past has been a top-down kind of power over situation where people tried to dominate, right? You've probably been involved in that. I call that the sales wound, when someone has sold you something.
I know that has happened to me, and it's definitely happened to you, I'm sure.
Right. And it leaves you feeling icky and abused, right? Well, if you're operating in sales from a sacred way, then you're respecting that other person and you're sharing power. It's power with. So it's about expanding a good thing instead of trying to just dominate a situation.
So I can see that would be a good thing in sales, but how does it actually work? How does that work in the actual sales process?
Well, it works really well. That's the easy answer. It works really well because what happens is people feel more comfortable. They don't feel like you're trying to get over on them. And really, this is kind of antithetical, and it's hard to wrap your brain around at first, but a sacred sales process, first thing it tries to do is make sure that you're selling to the right person. Because I don't want to even introduce a product or service to someone if it's not the right thing for them. Not only is my integrity gone, but I've also just told the person that I'm trying to do business with that I don't understand anything about them.
That's a big problem in most sales, and you've probably experienced that too. And and it comes across as really pushy, as opposed to them coming on that journey with you. So is that what sacred really is? Is it being in integrity? Is it, because I imagine that something that's sacred is something that it's really important to you.
It is. It's not just a sale. It's an invitation. It's an opportunity to serve. And it really is a recognition that we're all connected in a way that we sometimes don't even understand, but we all experience at some level. And just like so much of communication is nonverbal, so much of our intention is non-spoken. And when people feel that part of you that's in integrity and is seeking a consultative sale, not I have this that I want to make you buy, but I have this thing that may benefit you, let's discover if it does or not, then it's really interesting. The closing process becomes totally different. You're not spending hours trying to overcome objections. You have people saying, wow, this is amazing. When do we get started? And
I suppose that's the difference between a sale and a sacred sale then.
It is, because it becomes a journey that you both go on, you and your customer, your prospect, and you end up at the same place at the same time in accord instead of through this process of negotiation.
Push pull. Which can get quite ugly as well. And it's hard work. It takes a lot of energy doing that.
Well, and the other thing is when you close business that way and you want to reclose business with that same person, make another sale, you have to do the same dance all over again, right?
Right.
Because they're used to you trying to bully or manipulate. Even if that's not where you're coming from, if you don't use the right system, the right technique, that's what it feels like on the other end. So when you do this in a sacred way, the next time you come and sit down with them, they're very interested because you've demonstrated to them that you really are there to serve them. So the invitation is much easier.
So it's the model of serve rather than sell, and then you sell as a result of serving.
Right, and you don't even have to sell so much because you become partners in each other's success. That is really the key. is instead of a you against me, it's a partnership. And moving forward in partnership is so much easier and so much more fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm also looking forward to finding out what this sneaky little technique is that you have that will support with this sacred sale. So how do I get myself into state when I'm about to make that sacred sale?
Well, first of all, I want to give credit where credit is due. Sacred sales is mostly work that I do with my community. But my wife, Leisha Berry, is phenomenal. And this energy work comes from her and her experience as a teacher. So this isn't woo-woo. This is actually used in school systems to make people more receptive. So we're going to talk a little bit about the language. We are trained specifically in sales to be mostly left brain, which is all logic and reasoning. And it has another very strange effect, which is it's about separation too. It's about I versus we. So we're trained to use this side, and the problem with that is then it becomes a you versus me, because we've got two left brains which are all about I'm me. Yeah.
And is that where a salesperson would go into features and actually like totally kill the sale?
Right, because they're not worried about
completely
benefits.
About logic.
Right. There's no emotion, there's no reason to move forward. So when we engage our right brain, which is connective, it's about we, the larger we. When we're operating from that integrated place of left and right brain, then we're able to invite people. We're able to feel how they feel. Emotional intelligence is a huge part of sales. And if you're stuck over here, you can't do it. And if you start logicking people, you put them into a fear response because they're trying to make sense of it all and the pressure builds instead of coming from the emotion of what will help them. So getting into a whole brain state means that you're projecting an energy field that people resonate with, and they enter that whole brain state with you. Does that make sense?
Well, and you can do that really fast?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So let's say I'm getting ready to, I've set up this meeting with a client who's really important to me. I really want this business. And it's an in-person meeting. So I'm driving or I'm on a train. Before I walk into that office, I find a quiet place to sit down. And all we have to do is something really simple. This is great. So Sammy, why don't you follow along with me?
Okay.
First thing
and
we're
you
doing,
follow with us.
Right. We're going to do it, and it takes about 2 minutes. And as we do it, I'm going to explain to you why it works.
Okay.
So first thing we're going to do is cross our ankles. You can't see that, but cross your ankles.
Okay.
The next thing we're going to do is put our hands straight out in front of us like we're zombies. Then we're going to flip our hands over. We're going to interlock our fingers like this, and then pull gently up and through into this twisted state. Now,
and put it under your chin?
Under your chin, on your chest, yeah, just comfortable. Now, I'm not very flexible, Sammy is. If this is difficult or it hurts, this still works. So, we're going to hold this for about 15 breaths, or about 90 seconds. Now, what we're doing here is we're crossing the midline of our body above and below our waist, because our limbs are crossing. And what that's doing is sending signals to both sides of our brain that both sides are active, because we will tend to be in one side or the other when we're not crossed over. So we're going to breathe gently. You might visualize success. For me, if I'm visualizing success, I'm visualizing that hug or handshake or whatever that last step is when you welcome someone into your family, and the feeling of accomplishment that you've been able to serve someone and make their life better. So we're going to let this beautiful feeling come through us. Now you'll notice you start feeling calmer, more grounded. And if you have panic or fear, it will help you calm down and be ready to be your best self. Okay, so now we've gone about that time. So Sammy, let's gently unwind. So if we're like this, we're going to gently unwind. And then we're going to put our fingertips together and just look through the space between your thumb and your little fingers, thumbs and little fingers, and hold that for about another 30 seconds. And this is a lock-in. And this is going to keep you in that whole brain state where you're accessing every part of yourself. Your emotional intelligence, your intellectual intelligence, your ability to connect with people, your ability to stay separate from people in a partnered state where you can be your best self. And then when you're done, gently release. And you're ready to go into your meeting.
And what's the meaning of the crossing the legs again?
Because we're crossing our meridian twice.
Oh, so it's about meridians.
Yes, the center line of the body.
Okay.
Because if you don't know this, the left hemisphere of your brain controls the right side of your body. The right brain controls the left side of the body.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. So when you cross over, then you're causing neurotransmitters to cross the corpus callosum, which is the central nervous. It's sort of like the highway between the two hemispheres. If you didn't have one, you would think you had two people inside of you. You would hear your left brain and your right brain. So
wow.
yeah, there's a lot of neuroscience.
And we were just
behind
starting this discussion about sales, and you know a lot more about the human psyche, psychology, how people think, buying behaviors. You know, he's got a whole wealth of all this amazing stuff, and here you are teaching us this really crazy simple strategy for getting focused, and that could probably be before doing a webinar, before writing that sales email, before sending that text message out, before creating those videos, before getting on the phone, before knocking on the door, before getting out of your car. I mean, this is a process that would actually help in many areas, as well as the intention for this today.
Right, and in my belief, who we are is how we move through the world, and how we move through the world is how we do business. So managing ourselves helps us to do business better.
Yes.
And this is great if you're feeling stress at home. We all have stress in our lives. If you can take 2 minutes out of your life in a non-emergency situation, you can put yourself in a much calmer, more effective state for any part of your life. So just like business is part of life, life is part of business, you can use this anywhere.
I love it. I love it. I'm sure you love it as well.
It's great.
So if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below this video, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions.
There are.
And also do share this video with other people that you think will benefit from this process. I mean, this is something that I've learned today that is very powerful. Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much for being with me.
It's my pleasure. And how do people find out more about getting involved?
Well, if you'll follow the link in the comments section below, it will take you exactly where you need to go.
Got your answer.
All right.
We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.